Security! We have a situation in first class. The flight attendant's urgent call echoed through the cabin as passengers whipped out phones. In seat 2A, Marcus Williams sat motionless, his $3,000 suit immaculate, briefcase at his feet bearing a logo most wouldn't recognize. "Sir, you're in the wrong section," Manager Tom Bradley announced loudly. "This gentleman has been upgraded." He gestured to a smirking passenger holding a crumpled boarding pass. Marcus glanced at his Rolex. 28 minutes until departure. His phone buzzed with a text that made him smile slightly. Around him, first-class passengers murmured approval at the crew's efficiency. One woman started live streaming. "Y'all, this is exactly what I'm talking about." Her viewer count climbed past 200 in seconds. Real-life stories like this happen every day. Black stories that become viral, touching stories. But most life stories don't end with a twist this powerful. Have you ever been underestimated so completely that people celebrated your humiliation? What would you do? The cabin buzzed with tension as Manager Tom Bradley straightened his tie, enjoying his moment of authority. Marcus Williams sat motionless in 2A, his briefcase resting against his leg, its embossed WI logo barely visible to observant eyes. "Sir, this is your final warning," Bradley's voice carried across first class. "We have a platinum member who needs this seat. You'll be more comfortable in economy." Marcus glanced at his phone, 7:42 a.m. A text notification appeared. "Board meeting confirmed 2 p.m. Acquisition vote proceeds as planned. Janet CFO." He smiled slightly, typing back, "Slight delay. Proceed with contingency." Karen Mitchell adjusted her phone, live streaming to 1,247 viewers. "Y'all, this is exactly what happens when people don't know their place. This man thinks he can just sit wherever he wants." Comments flooded in. "Finally someone handling this," and "Why is this taking so long?" 25 minutes to departure, the gate agent announced. Ground crews loaded the final baggage containers, their movements visible through the window. Flight attendant Sarah Bennett approached with a clipboard. "Mr. Williams, I need to verify your ticket again. There seems to be some confusion in our system." Marcus handed over his boarding pass. First class, seat 2A, purchased with miles. Sarah scanned it twice, frowning. "The system shows your reservation, but there's been a prioritization adjustment." "Prioritization?" Marcus repeated. "Based on what criteria?" Sarah's eyes darted to Bradley, who nodded encouragingly. "We sometimes need to accommodate special circumstances." The businessman in 2B looked up from his tablet. "Look, buddy, I've got a crucial meeting with Morrison Industries in Chicago. Some of us actually belong in first class." Morrison Industries. Marcus's eyebrows raised slightly. "The construction company?" "Regional headquarters, actually. We're finalizing a major contract." The man's chest puffed with importance. "Maybe you've heard of us?" Marcus's phone buzzed again. This time, he let it ring twice before answering. "Wellington Industries, Marcus speaking. Yes, Janet, I'm aware of the Morrison situation." "No, proceed as discussed. The board meeting is still on schedule." He hung up as several passengers exchanged glances. Wellington Industries. The name rang familiar, but they couldn't place it. 22 minutes, Marcus announced, checking his Rolex Submariner. "Gate closes in 20. Security Officer Jake Morrison arrived, his radio crackling. "What's the situation here?" "Passenger refuses to move to his assigned seat," Bradley explained. "We've been more than patient, but we need to maintain our departure schedule." Morrison studied Marcus, the perfect posture, the expensive suit, the briefcase with its mysterious logo. Something felt off, but protocol was protocol. "Sir, I need you to comply with crew instructions. If you refuse, I'll have to remove you from the aircraft." "Remove me." Marcus tasted the words. "Officer Morrison, in your experience, how often do paying first-class passengers get removed for seat reassignments?" Morrison hesitated. Sir, that's not relevant. It's completely relevant. Marcus opened his briefcase slightly, revealing neat stacks of legal documents and what appeared to be corporate contracts. Because what you're witnessing isn't a seating dispute, it's a federal civil rights violation. The cabin fell silent. Even the flight attendants stopped their safety preparations. Karen's live stream hit 2,100 viewers, but the comment tone was shifting. Wait, did he say Wellington Industries? And this doesn't look good for the airline. 19 minutes, Marcus continued, his voice calm but commanding. Mr. Bradley, you've been with this airline for 12 years, correct? Bradley's confidence wavered. How did you... Employee Handbook, Section 4.7. Zero tolerance for discrimination based on race, color, or national origin. Marcus quoted perfectly. Violation results in immediate termination. Are you familiar with that policy? Sir, this isn't about race. Then what is it about? Marcus stood slowly, his full height imposing. My ticket is valid. My frequent flyer status is current. My payment cleared 3 weeks ago. So explain to me and to these 2,100 live stream viewers exactly why I need to move. Karen's hand trembled slightly as she held her phone. The viewer count was climbing, 2,847 and growing. Sarah Bennett checked her tablet frantically. Sir, your status shows... Actually, this shows Platinum Elite Plus. That's our highest tier. 167 flights last year, Marcus confirmed. 2.3 million miles lifetime. But you didn't check that, did you? The Morrison Industries businessman suddenly looked uncomfortable. Look, man, I didn't realize... You didn't realize because you didn't ask. Marcus's gaze swept the cabin. None of you asked. You saw a black man in first class and made assumptions. 16 minutes to departure, came the announcement. Marcus reached into his briefcase again, this time producing a leather portfolio with official letterhead. But we'll address the discrimination shortly. Right now, I'm curious about something else. He opened the portfolio, revealing documents that made Bradley's face drain of color. The letterhead read, Wellington Industries, Aviation Division. Mr. Bradley, are you familiar with aircraft lease agreements? Bradley's mouth went dry. Sir, I don't understand. Simple question. When an airline leases aircraft, who owns the actual planes? Morrison stepped closer, trying to read the documents. His radio crackled. Security to Gate 12, we have a situation developing. 14 minutes, Marcus announced. This is about to get very interesting. Karen's live stream viewer count hit 3,200. Comments were exploding. OMG, someone's about to get owned, and this man is not who they think he is. Marcus closed the portfolio with a soft snap. Shall we continue this conversation? Or would you prefer to handle this differently? The aircraft cabin had become a gladiator arena. Karen's live stream exploded past 6,000 viewers as notifications flooded her phone. Comments streamed faster than she could read. This is going viral, and someone screen record this. 12 minutes to departure, the gate agent announced. Final boarding call. Security Officer Morrison's radio crackled urgently. All units, we have a code yellow at Gate 12, requesting supervisor backup immediately. Within seconds, Senior Security Supervisor Janet Walsh arrived, her expression stern. Behind her, Airport Operations Manager David Bennett hurried to assess the situation, tablet in hand. What's the status? Walsh demanded. Morrison gestured toward Marcus. Passenger refusing crew instructions. Situation has escalated. Manager Bradley stepped forward, eager to control the narrative. Supervisor Walsh, this passenger is disrupting our departure schedule. We've been more than reasonable, but he's refusing to cooperate. Marcus remained seated, his briefcase resting calmly on his lap. Supervisor Walsh, I'm Marcus Williams. I'm being discriminated against based on my race, and this violation is being live-streamed to over 6,000 viewers. Walsh studied the scene, the nervous crew, the filming passenger, the composed man in the expensive suit. "Sir, discrimination is a serious allegation. What evidence do you have?" "The evidence is surrounding you," Marcus replied. "I have a valid first-class ticket, Platinum Elite Plus status, and confirmed reservation. Yet your staff insists I move to economy without justification." Operations Manager Bennett checked his tablet. "Sir, our system shows your reservation. There's no record of any legitimate reassignment request." Bradley's face flushed. "David, there were special circumstances." "What special circumstances?" Bennett's voice sharpened. "We have federal compliance requirements. Every seat change must be documented. Karen's live stream hit 8,500 viewers. She whispered to her camera, 'Y'all, this is getting serious. Airport management is here now.' Comments exploded. Airport security called, and 'This man is about to own them,' and 'Someone's career is over.'" 10 minutes, Marcus announced, checking his Rolex. "This situation is being documented by multiple parties." Captain Rebecca Torres emerged from the cockpit, her 23 years of experience evident in her commanding presence. "I need this resolved immediately. We're facing delays that could cascade through the entire system." "Captain," Walsh began, "we have a passenger dispute." "We have a civil rights violation," Marcus corrected firmly. "And it's being broadcast live to nearly 9,000 people." The captain's expression shifted as she noticed Karen's phone screen showing the climbing viewer count. Her airline's reputation was hemorrhaging in real time. "Mr. Williams, if you could just work with us—" "I've been working with you for 15 minutes, Marcus interrupted. "I've shown valid documentation, maintained my composure, and answered every question. What more cooperation do you require?" The businessman in 2B tried to disappear into his seat as whispers spread through the cabin. Other first-class passengers suddenly realized they were potential witnesses in a federal discrimination case. Morrison's radio crackled again. "Dispatch, media outlets are calling about a viral live stream. Do we have a situation at Gate 12? Walsh grabbed the radio. "Dispatch, situation is under control. No media comment at this time." "Media outlets?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Supervisor Walsh, are you familiar with the Streisand effect?" Chen checked his tablet frantically. "Sir, the live stream has been shared on Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. We're trending locally." "Trending," Marcus repeated. "How interesting." Flight attendant Sarah Bennett approached hesitantly. "Sir, perhaps we could offer you a voucher for future travel." "A voucher?" Marcus's voice carried dangerous calm. "Ms. Bennett, you're attempting to bribe me to accept discrimination. That's another federal violation." Karen's viewer count hit 12,000. Her hands trembled as she realized she was recording the corporate meltdown of the century. 8 minutes, Marcus continued. "Captain Torres, your airline's stock price is about to become very interesting." Captain Torres pulled out her phone, checking social media. Her face went pale. #airline discrimination was trending. Videos of the confrontation were being shared thousands of times. "Mr. Williams," she began carefully, "what would constitute appropriate resolution?" "Appropriate resolution?" Marcus opened his briefcase slightly, revealing corporate documents. "That depends on whether you want to resolve this privately or publicly." Supervisor Walsh stepped closer. "Sir, what do you mean by publicly?" "I mean," Marcus said quietly, "that this aircraft is owned by Wellington Industries. I am Marcus Wellington, CEO, and this live stream is documenting your staff's violation of our zero-tolerance discrimination policy." The cabin fell into stunned silence. Even the live stream comments paused as viewers processed the revelation. Then chaos erupted. "Holy shit! He owns the airline!" flooded Karen's comment section. The viewer count exploded past 15,000 as the clip went viral across platforms. Bradley stumbled backward. "Sir, if I had known—" You should have known that discrimination is illegal regardless of who I am. Marcus cut him off. But since you're concerned about identity, let me clarify something. He produced his corporate ID and driver's license. Wellington Industries owns this aircraft. We lease it to your airline for $12 million annually. This tail number N447WY is one of 12 planes in our agreement. Operations Manager Bennett's tablet slipped from his hands. Sir, are you saying? I'm saying you have 6 minutes to decide whether this ends with internal discipline or federal investigation. Morrison keyed his radio with shaking hands. Dispatch, we need the airport director at Gate 12, priority 1. Walsh tried to maintain control. Mr. Wellington, surely we can resolve this professionally. Professionally? Marcus's voice carried 20 years of boardroom authority. Ms. Walsh, your staff just discriminated against their own boss on a live stream watched by 15,000 people. How do you suggest we handle this professionally? Karen's phone was buzzing non-stop with interview requests from news outlets. The story was exploding beyond social media into mainstream attention. 5 minutes to departure, came the announcement. Captain Torres stepped forward. Mr. Wellington, I apologize for my crew's behavior. What would you consider appropriate action? Marcus closed his briefcase with deliberate precision. Captain, that depends on whether you want to maintain your lease agreement. The businessman in 2B raised his hand tentatively. Sir, I work for Morrison Industries. We have contracts with airlines. If there's anything I can do, you can explain to your Morrison Industries colleagues why their travel budget just became more expensive. Marcus replied calmly. 4 minutes, he announced. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness the consequences of institutional discrimination. The tension in the cabin was suffocating. 16,000 viewers waited for the next development. Airport management scrambled to contain a PR disaster. And Marcus Wellington sat calmly in his legally purchased seat, holding the future of an entire airline in his hands. Now, he said quietly, let's discuss resolution. The aircraft cabin crackled with tension as Marcus Wellington sat motionless, 22,000 viewers hanging on his every word. Airport Director Maria Santos clutched her phone, watching her career potentially crumble in real time. 3 minutes to departure, Marcus announced, his voice cutting through the chaos like surgical steel. Or should I say, 3 minutes until this becomes the most expensive discrimination case in aviation history. Director Santos arrived at the scene, surveying the corporate battlefield. Nervous crew, viral live stream, panicked management, and the eerily calm man who apparently held their airline's future in his briefcase. Mr. Wellington, I'm Maria Santos, Airport Director. Surely we can resolve this misunderstanding. Director Santos, Marcus interrupted, opening his briefcase fully for the first time. The contents made everyone freeze. Neat stacks of legal documents, corporate contracts, federal compliance reports, and something that made Santos's blood run cold, FBI investigation folders. There has been no misunderstanding. There has been a systematic pattern of racial discrimination that I've been documenting under federal authority for the past 8 months. The revelation exploded through the cabin like a bomb. This wasn't random. It was a federal sting operation. 8 months? Captain Torres whispered, her 23 years of aviation experience suddenly meaningless. Marcus pulled out a thick folder stamped Department of Transportation, Civil Rights Division. He opened it methodically, revealing photographs, audio recordings, and detailed incident reports. Operation Clear Skies, he announced quietly. A joint investigation between the Department of Transportation, FBI Civil Rights Division, and Wellington Industries Compliance Department. The folder contained devastating evidence. Surveillance photos of discriminatory incidents at 17 airports, audio recordings of biased conversations, statistical analyses showing systematic profiling patterns. 17 airports, 43 documented incidents, 12 airlines under investigation. Marcus spread the evidence across his tray table like a royal flush. Your airline leads the list with 27 violations in 8 months. Supervisor Walsh stumbled backward. 27 violations? That's impossible. Phoenix Sky Harbor, March 15th. Marcus pulled out a surveillance photo showing a black businessman being escorted from first class. Subject, Dr. Michael Johnson, cardiac surgeon. Reason given, seat reassignment for operational necessity. Actual reason, passenger complaint that he didn't look like he belonged. The photo was devastating, clear discrimination captured by airport security cameras. Dallas-Fort Worth, April 3rd. Another photo emerged. Subject, Maria Gonzalez, federal prosecutor, forced to verify her identity 3 times before being allowed to board first class. Gate agent's comment recorded, "These people always try to upgrade themselves." Karen's live stream exploded past 30,000 viewers. Comments flooded in faster than anyone could read. Federal investigation, and this is huge, and heads are gonna roll. Every incident documented with FBI quality evidence, Marcus continued. Video surveillance, audio recordings, witness statements, financial impact analyses. Operations Manager Bennett's tablet slipped from trembling hands. Sir, FBI involvement means federal charges. Marcus's voice carried the weight of prosecutorial authority. Title VI violations, conspiracy to deprive civil rights, institutional discrimination under color of law. He pulled out his phone, showing a text thread with ASSTDIR Civil Rights, FBI. The messages were real-time updates. Operation proceeding as planned, and legal team standing by for prosecution decision. Director Santos grabbed her phone frantically. Sir, if this is a federal investigation, why wasn't airport management notified? Because airport management has been complicit. Marcus produced another folder labeled Institutional Enablement. 27 complaints filed with your office in 8 months. 27 complaints dismissed as customer service issues. The evidence was overwhelming. Complaint forms, email chains showing deliberate suppression, statistical analyses proving systematic dismissal of minority grievances. But here's what you don't know yet. Marcus paused, letting the tension build. The final element of Operation Clear Skies. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a device that made everyone freeze, a federal recording unit with FBI evidence tags. This entire interaction has been recorded with federal-grade equipment for potential prosecution. Marcus held up the device. Every word, every action, every discriminatory statement preserved for federal court. The cabin fell into shocked silence. 25,000 viewers watched as the full scope of the investigation became clear. Mr. Bradley, Marcus's voice was surgical in its precision. When you said this seat isn't for people like you committed a federal crime in front of 30,000 witnesses and FBI quality recording equipment. Bradley's legs gave out. He grabbed a seat back for support. Sir, I didn't know. Federal crime? Title 18, Section 242, Deprivation of Rights under Color of Law. Penalty, up to 10 years federal prison. Marcus quoted with prosecutorial accuracy. Ms. Bennett, your compliance constitutes conspiracy under Section 241. Flight attendant Sarah Bennett began hyperventilating. The weight of federal charges crashed over her like a tsunami. But wait, Marcus said quietly. There's more you don't know. He pulled out his phone, showing a contact list that made Director Santos nearly faint. U.S. Attorney General, DOT Secretary, Civil Rights Division Chief. This investigation has been authorized at the highest levels of federal government. Marcus scrolled through his contacts. The Attorney General is personally monitoring Operation Clear Skies results. Karen's viewer count hit 40,000 as the story exploded beyond social media into breaking news alerts. Major networks were going live with the federal investigation revelation. And here, Marcus said, producing one final document that made everyone freeze, is the piece you really don't know about. The document bore the seal of the Federal Aviation Administration. Emergency Suspension Authority, Title 49 U.S.C. 44709. If this incident is classified as willful discrimination, the FAA has authority to immediately suspend your airline's operating certificate. Marcus's words hit like physical blows. Complete flight operations shut down within 24 hours. Captain Torres's face went white. Sir, suspension means bankruptcy. Marcus's voice remained calm but devastating. 47,000 employees unemployed, 112 aircraft grounded, $2.3 billion in annual revenue eliminated. The businessman in 2B raised his hand with desperate panic. Sir, Morrison Industries has nothing to do with this. We're just passengers. Morrison Industries filed 6 discrimination complaints that were suppressed by airline management. Marcus pulled out corporate correspondence. Your CEO has been briefed on the federal investigation. Your travel contracts include immediate termination clauses for discrimination violations. The man's career flashed before his eyes as he realized his company was already moving to distance themselves from the airline. 2 minutes, Marcus announced. Federal prosecutors are standing by for my signal. He held up his phone, showing a text ready to send. Recommend immediate prosecution. Evidence sufficient for federal charges. Director Santos, your next words will determine whether this ends with cooperative reform or federal prosecution that destroys your airline. Santos looked around desperately. Viral live stream, federal investigation, corporate collapse hanging in the balance. 40,000 viewers waiting for resolution. 1 minute, Marcus continued. Captain Torres, Mr. Bradley, Ms. Bennett, you now have 60 seconds to decide whether you want to be pioneers of airline bias elimination or defendants in federal court. Karen's hands shook as she held her phone. She was live streaming the most consequential moment in aviation civil rights history. Time's up, Marcus announced, his finger hovering over the send button. What's your decision? The cabin had become a corporate courtroom. Marcus Wellington sat like a federal judge, 65,000 viewers serving as jury, while an entire airline's fate hung on his next words. Director Santos clutched her phone, watching stock prices plummet in real time as #airline discrimination exploded across social media. Mr. Wellington, Santos whispered, what would satisfy federal investigators? Marcus smiled coldly, opening his laptop to reveal a presentation that made everyone's blood freeze. Operation Clear Skies. Judgment Day Protocol. Director Santos, satisfaction requires accountability. Real accountability. His voice carried the weight of federal authority. Are you familiar with the concept of corporate death penalty? The phrase hit like a physical blow. Captain Torres stepped forward, her 23 years of aviation experience suddenly meaningless against federal prosecution. Corporate death penalty? She whispered. Federal revocation of operating authority under Title 49 U.S.C. Section 44709. Marcus displayed legal code that spelled out airline extinction. When systematic discrimination is proven, the FAA can permanently ground all aircraft. No appeals, no second chances, corporate execution. Manager Bradley's legs buckled. Sir, that would mean 47,000 employees lose their jobs overnight. Shareholders lose $4.2 billion in equity value. Corporate executives face federal prison sentences up to 20 years each. Marcus's words fell like hammer blows. He clicked to financial projections that painted an apocalyptic picture. Stock price drops to zero. Pension funds collapse. Suppliers lose $890 million in outstanding contracts. Regional airports lose their primary carrier. Operations Manager Bennett stared at his tablet in horror as notifications exploded. Stock down 12%, bondholders calling emergency meetings, corporate partners issuing termination notices. But corporate death is just one option, Marcus continued, his voice taking on prosecutorial precision. Let me show you the alternative. The screen changed to show a detailed implementation plan. Phoenix Protocol, Resurrection through Reform. Immediate personnel accountability. Marcus displayed termination recommendations with surgical precision. Mr. Bradley, your employment ends today. Supervisor Walsh, you're demoted to line staff with mandatory bias training. Ms. Bennett, you undergo intensive retraining or face termination. Bradley stepped forward desperately. Sir, I have twin daughters in college. Medical bills for my wife's cancer treatment. Please. Mr. Bradley, your daughter's education shouldn't depend on discriminating against other people's children. Marcus's voice remained calm, but devastating. Dr. Michael Johnson has children too. When you removed him from first class, did you consider his family? The personal attack landed with surgical precision. Bradley's face crumpled as he realized his career was over. Financial restitution requirements. Marcus clicked to the next section. Every passenger discriminated against receives $50,000 compensation. Total liability, $2.1 million, paid within 90 days or federal prosecution proceeds. $2.1 million? Santos's voice cracked. Our quarterly profit margin is only $1.8 million. Director Santos, discrimination is expensive. Justice is priceless. Marcus showed victim impact statements that made everyone wince. Dr. Johnson missed a critical surgery because of your crew's discrimination. Maria Gonzalez lost a federal case preparation day. 17 passengers suffered documented psychological trauma. Karen's live stream had become compulsory viewing for aviation executives worldwide. Comments flooded in from verified accounts, CEOs, federal officials, civil rights leaders. The story was transcending social media into congressional attention. Systematic operational changes. Marcus displayed requirements that would transform airline culture completely. Every employee undergoes 40 hours of intensive bias elimination training. Cost, $890 per employee. Total implementation, $4.2 million. Flight attendant Sarah Bennett raised her hand, trembling. Sir, 40 hours means a full work week of training. Ms. Bennett, eliminating racism requires time investment. Your current 2-hour diversity workshop is corporate theater designed to avoid lawsuits, not eliminate bias. Marcus showed comparative effectiveness data. Our protocol achieves 89% bias reduction. Your current training achieves 3%. Technology integration requirements. The next slide showed AI monitoring systems that made everyone uncomfortable. Every passenger interaction recorded and analyzed for bias patterns. Discriminatory behavior triggers immediate supervisor alerts and federal notification. Federal notification? Captain Torres looked panicked. Captain, the Department of Transportation receives real-time discrimination alerts. Federal investigators can arrive at any airport within 4 hours. Marcus showed integration with federal databases. Transparency ensures accountability. Corporate governance restructuring. Marcus displayed organizational charts that stripped management of discriminatory authority. Independent oversight board with federal observer status. Community representatives with veto power over personnel decisions. Civil rights attorneys with access to all internal communications. Director Santos studied the requirements with growing horror. Sir, that's essentially federal management of our airline. Director Santos, your management enabled systematic racism. Federal oversight ensures it never happens again. Marcus's tone brooked no argument. You forfeit autonomous authority when you violate constitutional rights. Legal compliance monitoring. The final requirement made everyone freeze. Quarterly federal audits with prosecution authority. Any discrimination incident triggers automatic investigation. Violation probability analysis applied to all personnel decisions. But here's what makes this particularly interesting, Marcus continued, producing a document that made Santos nearly collapse. Wellington Industries is prepared to provide implementation funding, but with conditions that will change aviation forever. What conditions? Captain Torres asked with dread. Wellington Industries assumes operational oversight of bias elimination protocols at all partner airlines. Marcus displayed contracts affecting dozens of carriers. Our compliance requirements become industry standard. Airlines refusing implementation lose Wellington partnerships immediately. The scope was staggering. Wellington controlled lease agreements for over 400 aircraft across 17 airlines. Their compliance requirements would reshape the entire industry. Mr. Bennett, your airline has two choices. Marcus stood slowly, his full height commanding absolute attention. Pioneer industry transformation as Wellington's flagship partner, or serve as a cautionary example of corporate destruction. Chen's tablet showed catastrophic real-time updates. Stock down 18%. Credit rating under review. Corporate partners issuing termination warnings. Pioneer status includes preferential lease rates, marketing support, and industry leadership recognition. Marcus displayed benefits that offered corporate salvation. Cautionary example status includes federal prosecution, industry blacklisting, and corporate execution. The mathematics are simple, Marcus continued, his voice carrying 20 years of boardroom authority. Implementation cost, $7.3 million over 2 years. Prosecution and bankruptcy cost, $4.2 billion plus criminal liability for senior executives. He held up his phone, showing text threads with federal prosecutors. Evidence package complete. Recommend prosecution. Ready to send. But remember this, Marcus said quietly, his voice carrying absolute finality. This decision affects more than your airline. Every aviation executive worldwide is watching this live stream. Your choice becomes industry precedent. Karen's viewer count hit 75,000 as aviation stocks plummeted globally. Investors realized that discrimination liability could destroy any carrier. Director Santos, you have 30 seconds to decide whether aviation history remembers this moment as transformation or destruction. Santos looked around desperately. Viral documentation, federal investigation, industry transformation, corporate survival hanging by a thread. 15 seconds, Marcus announced, his finger hovering over send. Pioneer or cautionary tale, leadership or litigation, progress or prosecution. The weight of aviation history settled over the cabin. 75,000 viewers waited. Federal prosecutors stood ready. An entire industry's future hung in the balance. Time's up, Marcus said quietly. What's your decision? The silence shattered like glass as Director Santos's voice cracked. Mr. Wellington, we accept full implementation of the Phoenix Protocol. 82,000 viewers exhaled collectively, but Marcus Wellington's expression remained granite hard. This wasn't negotiation. This was corporate surgery. Director Santos, acceptance requires immediate amputation of institutional racism. Marcus clicked to real-time implementation protocols. Mr. Bradley, you're terminated effective immediately. Security escort in progress. Bradley's face collapsed as airport security approached. Sir, my family depends on this job. Mr. Bradley, 17 families were damaged by your discrimination. Your employment ends now. Marcus's voice carried prosecutorial finality. You'll receive severance pay contingent on signing a federal non-disclosure agreement and completing bias rehabilitation counseling. Security officers flanked Bradley as he walked the jet bridge of shame, his discrimination broadcast to 85,000 viewers. Karen's live stream comments exploded. Justice served, and consequences are real. Ms. Bennett, Marcus continued with surgical precision, you have 72 hours to enroll in Harvard Business School's Bias Elimination Certification. Cost $18,000. Failure to complete results in immediate termination. Sarah Bennett nodded frantically, understanding her career hung by a thread. Yes, sir. I'll register today. Captain Torres, you'll undergo Federal Aviation Administration Civil Rights Certification within 30 days. All your flight decisions will be monitored by AI bias detection systems during 6 months probation. The captain's 23 years of experience suddenly felt meaningless against algorithmic oversight. Understood, Mr. Wellington. Marcus opened his laptop, revealing the Phoenix system, real-time bias monitoring technology that would revolutionize aviation. Phase 1. Technological transformation. Every passenger interaction recorded and analyzed by AI systems designed by MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory. The screen showed sophisticated algorithms detecting microaggressions, biased language patterns, and discriminatory service decisions in real time. The system generates bias scores for every employee, Marcus explained. Scores above threshold trigger immediate supervisor intervention. Repeated violations result in automatic termination. Operations Manager Bennett studied the interface with growing amazement. Sir, this technology could eliminate unconscious bias entirely. Mr. Bennett, that's exactly the point. Human bias is predictable. Technology is objective. Marcus displayed success metrics that were staggering. Airlines using Phoenix systems show 97% reduction in discrimination incidents within 6 months. Phase 2. Financial accountability with teeth. Marcus clicked to compensation structures that made everyone wince. 17 discrimination victims received $60,000 each. Total, $1.02 million. Payment deadline, 45 days. Additionally, Marcus continued, every employee involved in discrimination incidents contributes to victim compensation from their personal salaries. Mr. Bradley forfeits his final paycheck. Ms. Bennett contributes $5,000 from her salary over 12 months. The personal financial consequences created immediate accountability. Discrimination would literally cost perpetrators money. Phase 3. Independent oversight with federal authority. The screen showed an organizational structure that stripped biased management of discriminatory power. Citizens Aviation Rights Board established with rotating federal prosecutors, civil rights attorneys, and community leaders. This board has authority to investigate complaints, impose penalties, and recommend federal prosecution for violations, Marcus explained. Your airline loses internal control over bias incidents. Director Santos realized they were surrendering autonomy to ensure accountability. Mr. Wellington, federal oversight means justice, Director Santos. Your internal management enabled systematic racism. External oversight ensures it never happens again. Phase 4. Industry transformation through competitive advantage. Marcus displayed marketing materials that repositioned discrimination elimination as corporate strength. Your airline becomes America's first federally certified bias-free carrier. The marketing advantage was substantial. Premium pricing for guaranteed discrimination-free travel, corporate partnership preferences, government contract eligibility. Bias-free certification allows 23% premium pricing for business travelers, Marcus showed revenue projections. Estimated additional annual revenue, $340 million. Karen's live stream had become appointment viewing for Fortune 500 executives worldwide. Comments revealed corporate leaders immediately implementing similar protocols. We're adopting this tomorrow, and every company needs Phoenix systems. But here's the intellectual victory, Marcus said, standing slowly with quiet pride. You just proved that eliminating racism is profitable. Not because it's required by law, but because it's good business. He displayed financial analyses showing bias elimination's economic benefits, reduced legal costs, improved customer loyalty, enhanced employee productivity, increased innovation from diverse perspectives. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's economically stupid, Marcus concluded. The Phoenix Protocol makes virtue profitable. The businessman from Morrison Industries raised his hand with genuine respect. Sir, you've created a business case for civil rights that every corporation will want to adopt. That's exactly the point, Marcus smiled. When eliminating bias increases profits, every company becomes a civil rights advocate. Marcus picked up his phone, typing a message that sealed the transformation. Phoenix Protocol approved. Industry implementation authorized. The text I just sent, he announced, authorizes Wellington Industries to offer Phoenix systems to all airline partners. Your transformation becomes industry standard. Director Santos stepped forward with genuine gratitude. Mr. Wellington, you've turned our worst crisis into our greatest opportunity. Director Santos, that's what real leadership does. It transforms problems into progress. The cabin erupted in applause, not just from passengers, but from live stream viewers whose comments showed overwhelming support for systematic change. Now, Marcus announced, settling into his seat with quiet satisfaction, let's discuss our departure to Chicago. 1 year later, the Marcus Wellington discrimination case had rewritten the rules of corporate America. The viral live stream, now studied in business schools as the Phoenix Moment, had generated over 47 million views across platforms, sparking a nationwide movement for systematic bias elimination. The airline industry transformation was staggering. 0 discrimination incidents reported across Phoenix Protocol carriers in 8 consecutive months. Customer satisfaction scores reached historic highs. Stock prices for compliant airlines averaged 52% higher than competitors still operating under old bias-prone systems. But the real victory lived in individual stories that flooded Marcus's inbox daily. Dr. Amara Okafor, a Nigerian-American physicist, wrote, Mr. Wellington, I flew first class to my Nobel Prize ceremony last month. Not one questioning look. My daughter watched me receive equal treatment, and for the first time, she believes she belongs anywhere. These touching stories of transformation proved that systematic change created ripple effects across generations. When institutions eliminated bias, children grew up expecting equality as normal rather than revolutionary. Karen Mitchell's accidental live stream had launched her career as America's leading corporate accountability journalist. Her weekly show, Justice Live, now reached 4.2 million subscribers, featuring real-life stories of companies choosing progress over prejudice. She regularly credited that fateful flight with teaching her that ordinary people could document extraordinary change. The Wellington effect spread beyond aviation into healthcare, hospitality, retail, and financial services. Over 200 Fortune 500 companies had voluntarily implemented bias elimination protocols after witnessing the competitive advantages gained through systematic equality. Harvard Business School professor Dr. Jennifer Park noted, "The Wellington case proved that eliminating discrimination isn't charity. It's competitive strategy. Companies implementing bias elimination protocols consistently outperform competitors in profitability, customer loyalty, and employee retention." These black stories of corporate transformation were inspiring international adoption. The European Union had mandated Phoenix Protocol implementation for all transportation companies by 2026. Canada, Australia, and Japan were developing similar requirements. Marcus had established the Wellington Institute for Corporate Equality, providing free bias elimination consulting to small businesses unable to afford implementation costs. His belief that justice should be accessible regardless of company size was creating systematic change across entire economic sectors. But perhaps the most powerful testament came from manager Bradley, whose termination had sparked personal transformation. Now a leading diversity consultant, he addressed corporate executives. "I was fired for discrimination and discovered it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I learned that eliminating bias doesn't diminish anyone. It elevates everyone." Life stories of redemption like Bradley's proved that accountability could transform perpetrators into advocates, creating lasting cultural change beyond policy implementation. The Phoenix Protocol had evolved into more than bias elimination. It was proof that corporate profits and social justice could align when systematic change made equality profitable. As Marcus reflected on that transformative flight, He realized the ultimate victory wasn't corporate. It was generational. Children growing up with bias elimination protocols would consider equal treatment normal, not exceptional. Your voice matters in this transformation. Have you witnessed or experienced discrimination in travel, retail, or service industries? Share your story in the comments. Your real-life stories inspire systematic change. If these touching stories of corporate accountability moved you to demand better treatment everywhere, hit subscribe and share this video. Together, we're making bias elimination profitable and discrimination extinct. The future belongs to companies brave enough to choose equality over exclusion.